the story of the merchant and the demon. On the first night she said, "It has reached me, O fortunate king, that there was once a wealthy merchant who traded far and wide. One day he set out on a journey to collect debts. The heat became unbearable, so he sat under a tree to rest. He reached into his bag, ate a piece of bread and a date, and when he finished, he threw the date pit aside. Suddenly, a towering demon appeared, holding a glowing sword. The demon stormed toward the merchant and roared, 'Get up! I will kill you, just as you killed my son.' The merchant, trembling with fear, asked, 'How did I kill your son?' The demon screamed, 'When you ate that date and threw the pit, it struck my son's chest, and he died on the spot.' The merchant, desperate, pleaded, 'O demon, I have debts to repay, a family to care for, and wealth to distribute. Let me return home, settle my affairs, and I swear I will come back to you. You can do with me as you wish. I give you my word.' The demon, though skeptical, agreed and released him. The merchant rushed home, paid off his debts, and said goodbye to his weeping wife and children. After a year, he returned to the garden, carrying his shroud, ready to face his fate. As he sat there, crying bitterly, an old man approached, leading a gazelle on a leash. The old man greeted him and asked, "Why are you sitting alone in this dangerous place, the dwelling of demons?" The merchant told him the whole story, his voice shaking with fear. The old man was astonished and said, "By Allah, your tale is extraordinary. I will stay with you and see what happens between you and this demon." Soon, a second old man arrived with 2 black dogs. He asked the same question and was told the story. Then, a third old man appeared with a mule. He, too, listened to the tale. Suddenly, a cloud of dust rose, and the demon appeared, his eyes shooting sparks, his sword glinting in the sun. He grabbed the merchant and roared, "Prepare to die for killing my son." The merchant sobbed uncontrollably, and the 3 old men wept loudly. The first old man, the one with the gazelle, stepped forward and said, "O mighty demon, if I tell you my story with this gazelle, and you find it astonishing, will you spare 1/3 of this merchant's blood?" The demon, curious, agreed. The old man began, "This gazelle is my cousin. I married her when she was young, but she bore me no children. So I took a concubine, who gave me a son as beautiful as the moon. One day, I traveled for trade, and while I was away, my wife used magic to turn my son into a calf, and his mother into a cow. When I returned, she lied, saying they had died or disappeared. Years later, during a feast, I ordered a fat cow to be slaughtered. It was my concubine, transformed. She cried and wept, but I didn't recognize her. Then, I ordered a calf to be slaughtered. It was my son. He broke free, ran to me, and wept. My heart ached, and I spared him." The demon, moved by the story, said, "This is indeed astonishing. I grant you 1/3 of the merchant's blood." At this point, Scheherazade noticed the dawn and fell silent. Her sister said to her, "How sweet and delightful is your tale." Scheherazade replied, "What is this compared to what I will tell you tomorrow night, if the king spares my life?" The king thought to himself, "By Allah, I will not kill her until I hear the rest of her story." They spent the night together until morning, and the king went to his court to rule. The vizier arrived with the shroud under his arm, but the king did not inform him of anything. The vizier was astonished, and the court was dismissed. The king returned to his palace. On the second night, Dunyazad said to her sister Scheherazade, "O sister, please continue the story of the merchant and the demon?" Scheherazade replied, "With pleasure, if the king permits." The king said, "Tell it." So she began, "It has reached me, O fortunate king, that when the old man saw the calf weeping, his heart softened, and he said to the shepherd, 'Leave this calf among the cattle.' All this while, the demon listened in amazement to the old man's extraordinary tale. Then the owner of the gazelle said, 'O king of the jinn, all this happened while my cousin, this gazelle, watched and said, "Slaughter this calf, for it is fat." But I could not bring myself to do it, and ordered the shepherd to take it away. The next day, as I sat, the shepherd came to me and said, "O master, I have news that will please you." I said, "Tell me." He said, "O merchant, I have a daughter who learned magic from an old woman who lived with us. Yesterday, when you gave me the calf, I took it to her. My daughter looked at it, covered her face, and wept. Then she laughed and said, 'O father, has my honor fallen so low that you bring strange men to me?' I asked, 'Where are the strange men, and why did you weep and laugh?' She replied, 'This calf is the son of our master, the merchant. He has been enchanted by his stepmother, and so has his mother. That is why I laughed. As for my tears, they were for his mother, whom his father slaughtered. I was astonished and could not believe it until I came to tell you. When I heard this, O demon, I went with the shepherd, drunk with joy, and arrived at his house. His daughter welcomed me, kissed my hand, and the calf came to me, rubbing against me. I asked her, 'Is what you say about this calf true?' She replied, 'Yes, O master. He is your son, the apple of your eye.' I said, 'O girl, if you free him, I will give you all the cattle and wealth your father possesses.' She smiled and said, 'O master, I have no desire for wealth, but I have 2 conditions. First, you must marry me to him. Second, I must enchant the one who enchanted him and imprison her, or I cannot guarantee her mischief will end.' When I heard this, O demon, I said, 'You shall have more than all your father's wealth, and as for my cousin, her blood is yours to spill.' She took a bowl, filled it with water, and chanted over it. Then she sprinkled the water on the calf and said, 'If Allah created you as a calf, remain so. But if you are enchanted, return to your original form by Allah's will.' The calf trembled and became a man again. I embraced him and said, 'By Allah, tell me everything that happened to you and your mother.' He told me the whole story, and I said, 'O my son, Allah has sent someone to save you and restore your rights.' Then, O demon, I married the shepherd's daughter to my son, and she enchanted my cousin, turning her into this gazelle. I came here and saw these people. I asked them about their situation, and they told me what had happened to this merchant. I sat to see what would happen, and this is my tale." The demon said, "This is an astonishing tale, and I grant you 1/3 of his blood." The second old man's tale. Then the second old man, the one with the 2 black dogs, stepped forward and said, "O king of the jinn, these 2 dogs are my brothers, and I am the 3rd. Our father died and left us 3,000 dinars. I opened a shop and became a merchant, while my brothers traveled with caravans. After a year, they returned with nothing. I said, 'Did I not warn you not to travel?' They wept and said, 'O brother, this was Allah's decree.' I took them to my shop, gave them fine clothes, and shared my profits with them. After a year, they wanted to travel again and insisted I join them. I refused, saying, 'What did you gain from your travels that I should gain?' But they pressured me, and I agreed. We divided our 6,000 dinars, buried half for safekeeping, and took the rest. We bought goods, hired a ship, and sailed for a month until we reached a city where we sold our goods at a great profit. As we prepared to leave, I found a beautiful girl on the shore. She kissed my hand and said, "O master, do you have kindness and goodness to reward?" I said, "Yes, even if you do not reward me." She said, "O master, marry me and take me to your country, for I have given myself to you." My heart softened, and I took her aboard, treating her with kindness and love. My brothers grew jealous and plotted to kill me. One night, they threw me into the sea while I slept. My wife, who was a Genie, saved me and said, "I am your wife who saved you. I am a believing Genie, and I fell in love with you. I will kill your brothers for their treachery." I begged her not to, but she insisted. She carried me home, and I found my brothers turned into these dogs. She said, "They will remain so for 10 years as punishment." Now, O demon, I am on my way to free them after 10 years. This is my tale. The demon said, "This is an astonishing tale, and I grant you 1/3 of his blood." The third old man's tale. Then the third old man, the one with the mule, stepped forward and said, "O king of the jinn, this mule was my wife. I traveled for a year, and when I returned, I found her with a black slave. She enchanted me, turning me into a dog. I wandered until a butcher's daughter, who knew magic, restored me. I asked her to enchant my wife, and she turned her into this mule. This is my tale." The demon, amazed, said, "This is the most astonishing tale of all. I grant you the final third of his blood. The merchant is free to go." At this point, Scheherazade noticed the dawn and fell silent. Her sister said, "How sweet and delightful is your tale." Scheherazade replied, "What is this compared to what I will tell you tomorrow night, if the king spares my life?" The king thought, "By Allah, I will not kill her until I hear the rest of her story." They spent the night together until morning, and the king went to his court to rule. The vizier arrived with the shroud under his arm, but the king did not inform him of anything. The vizier was astonished, and the court was dismissed. The king returned.